Human beings speak long before their mouths ever open. They reveal their insecurities in the way they touch their face when someone looks too closely at them. They show their confidence in their stride, their doubt in their hesitation, their attraction in the unguarded glances they think you never notice. Most people walk through life hearing only the noise of words, but missing the truth that hides in silence. Yet silence is where the real story lives. Reading people is not a supernatural gift. It is not a mystical talent reserved for psychologists or interrogators or therapists. It is an ancient survival skill, wired into your nervous system, sharpened by your experiences, and strengthened each time you pay attention. Children read people effortlessly. They know which adult is safe to approach, and which one is struggling with a storm inside. But as we grow older, we learn to listen only to spoken words, and ignore the language of intention. This book will help you remember that forgotten human instinct. To read people is not to judge them. It is not to manipulate or control. It is to understand. Understanding gives you clarity, and clarity gives you peace. When you understand people, you stop taking everything personally. You stop being surprised by the behavior of those around you. You start seeing patterns that explain why someone speaks the way they do, or withdraws the way they do, or reacts in ways that seem unreasonable. Reading people makes your relationships clearer, your decisions wiser, and your confidence stronger. In the next 90 minutes, you will learn how to read human behavior from the inside out. You will learn how to decode hidden emotions, interpret micro-expressions, understand social masks, and see the motives beneath the surface. You will learn how to detect lies, spot manipulation, sense insecurity, and recognize intention even when someone tries to hide it. You will understand the psychology behind body language, tone, silence, and the subtle choices people make without thinking. But this audiobook is not written like a textbook. It is written like a journey, a story, a conversation with your deeper intuition. You will hear real-life examples, life lessons, and human stories that allow the concepts to settle into your thinking naturally. By the time you finish, you will not only know how to read people, you will feel it, you will sense it. It will become part of your awareness. Now take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and prepare to see the world the way you were always meant to see it, not through the loudness of words, but through the quiet truth beneath them. Chapter 1. The Silence That Speaks. People rarely tell you who they are through their words. They tell you through their patterns, through their energy, through the tiny things they do when they think nobody is watching. The greatest lesson in reading people is this: silence is never empty. Silence is full of information. Imagine sitting with someone you have just met. They smile politely, but the smile never reaches their eyes. Their voice sounds calm, but their shoulders stay slightly raised as if waiting for impact. They say they are fine, but their breathing is shallow. They are speaking one language with their mouth and another with their nervous system. If all you listen to is their words, you will miss the story. But if you observe the silence between the words, you will feel the truth. In psychology, there is something called baseline behavior. It is the natural way someone behaves when they are relaxed and unguarded. Everyone has a baseline. Your job is to learn it. Once you understand a person's baseline, even the smallest shift becomes a message. If someone who normally speaks quickly suddenly slows down, something changed. If someone who always makes eye contact suddenly avoids it, something changed. If someone who normally laughs easily suddenly becomes quiet, something changed. People reveal their emotional temperature by deviating from their baseline. Silence amplifies these changes. When people stop talking, the mind becomes louder. Their thoughts leak through their expressions. Their body shows what their words are hiding. You learn more about a person in the moments they pause than in the sentences they speak. The pause before answering, the hesitation before committing, the breath before confessing, the stillness before lying. All of these moments carry truth. Words can be rehearsed. Silence never is. Let me tell you a story. A young woman once sat across from a friend she had known for years. He told her he was fine. He laughed. He talked about his plans. But every time she mentioned the situation he was facing, a shadow crossed his face. A micro moment of tension. He blinked a little longer. He swallowed harder. His smile tightened. She realized he wasn't fine at all, not because he said anything, but because his silence spoke louder than his performance. She leaned closer and said, "You don't have to pretend with me." With that single sentence, he broke down and finally shared what was hurting him. She had read him, and she had read him correctly. To read people well, you must learn to make silence your ally. You must learn to look beyond words and into the spaces where truth hides. The world will begin to look different when you do. People will seem easier to understand. Their intentions will stop surprising you, and you will move through life with a sense of clarity that most people never experience. This is the beginning of your journey, learning to hear the silence. Chapter 2. Emotions that leak through the body. Human beings can hide their words. They can censor their thoughts. They can control their facial expressions for a moment, but the body betrays emotion. Not because people are dishonest, but because emotion is faster than logic. Before you have time to decide what face to make, your body has already reacted to your true feelings. When someone is uncomfortable, the body tries to protect itself. Shoulders rise, arms cross, the torso angles away. When someone is confident, the body expands instead of shrinking. The chest opens, the back straightens, the stride becomes smoother. The difference is instant, and it is reliable. Every emotion has a physical signature. Anxiety tightens the jaw. Guilt avoids eye contact. Interest leans in. Attraction dilates the pupils. Discomfort shifts in the chair. Relief softens the shoulders. You do not need to memorize these signs. Your brain already recognizes them. What you need is awareness. Awareness turns instinct into understanding. Take, for example, someone who touches their neck repeatedly. This is one of the most ancient self-soothing gestures. The neck contains major nerves and blood vessels. When someone feels threatened, embarrassed, unsure, or anxious, they unconsciously touch or rub the area. They are calming themselves. They may not even realize they're doing it, but you will. Or consider someone who suddenly hides their hands. When someone puts their hands under the table or in their pockets while speaking, it often signals discomfort, insecurity, or incomplete honesty. Humans show truth with open palms and hide truth with hidden hands. Another example is the foot. People rarely control their feet. Their feet point toward what they want and away from what they dislike. If their feet are pointed at the door during a conversation, they want the conversation to end. If their feet are angled towards someone they are attracted to, the intention is clear. Watching the feet reveals direction, literally and emotionally. A man once told a story about his business partner. He asked the partner if he was fully committed to the project, and the partner answered confidently. His words were strong, his tone was convincing. But the man noticed something else. As his partner spoke, his feet angled away, and his legs bounced lightly. It was subtle but clear. His body was trying to escape the conversation. Weeks later, the partner dropped out of the project and admitted he was unsure from the start. The body had revealed the truth long before the words did. Reading the body is not about catching people in lies. It is about understanding the emotional story beneath the surface. It is about seeing the tension behind the smile, the hesitation behind the enthusiasm, the vulnerability behind the pride. When you learn to read the body, you begin to understand people in a deeper, more intuitive way. The body never lies. It only speaks quietly. Chapter 3. There is a reason every culture on earth talks about the eyes as windows to the soul. The eyes betray emotion in ways no other part of the body can. They reveal tension before the mouth forms a word. They show desire before the voice becomes brave enough to speak. They flash with fear, soften with love, widen with surprise, and harden with resentment. The eyes are storytellers, and most people have no idea how loudly theirs speak. To read someone's eyes is not to stare at them intensely. It is to observe gently, quietly, as if you are reading the movement of water in a glass. Human eyes are always moving. They shift with thought. They dart with discomfort. They freeze with shock. They soften with trust. They tremble with vulnerability. When someone looks away too quickly, they hide something. When they hold your gaze a little too long, they are trying to convince you of something. When they glance down, they are processing emotion. When they glance sideways, they are checking for safety or approval. Every shift is a message. Let me take you into a scene. Imagine a dimly lit cafe late evening. the calming hum of conversation blending with the soft music in the background. A man sits across from a woman he has known for years. They are friends, but the energy between them tonight is different. She is speaking about her day, laughing, telling stories. But every time he looks at her, he notices something. Her eyes don't stay on him the way they used to. They drift, they settle on the table, they hesitate before coming back to his. And when they do, a shadow of emotion flickers across them. It is brief, like a cloud passing quickly over the sun, but unmistakable. At that moment, he realizes something is wrong. Not because of anything she said, not because of her tone, not because of her body language. It was her eyes. They carried the weight of something unsaid, something she didn't know how to voice, something she was holding together with a fragile smile. When he gently asked her if she was truly all right, her eyes filled before her words did. The truth came out in tears long before it came out in sentences. That is the power of reading eyes. It allows you to hear the truth before the person finds the courage to speak it. Another powerful example is the micro glance. When someone thinks of something emotionally charged, their eyes often shift in the direction associated with that emotion. To the left for memory, to the right for imagination, downward for shame, pain, or self-reflection, upward for searching, reasoning, or escape. These movements are often unconscious. They are the brain revealing where it goes when it feels exposed. Watching the eyes shows you the path their thoughts are taking even when they try to hide it. One of the most interesting tells is the freeze. When someone hears something shocking, frightening, or deeply affecting, their eyes freeze for a fraction of a second. It is the brain pausing, processing, protecting. It is a moment when the truth flashes completely unfiltered. People cannot control it. They cannot fake it. It is the closest thing to emotional honesty you will ever witness in real time. The eyes also reveal connection. When someone is genuinely interested in you, their pupils dilate. This is not romantic fiction. It is biology. When the brain is attracted to or fascinated by something, it opens the pupils to gather more information. It wants to see more of the thing it desires. So the eyes widen, they brighten, they linger. A person may keep a straight face, but their pupils will expose every hidden feeling they thought they had under control. There is also the soft gaze. When someone feels safe with you, their eyes soften, the muscles around the eyes relax, the eyelids lower slightly, the gaze becomes warm instead of sharp. You cannot fake safety. You cannot manufacture it. It shows itself naturally in the eyes, like a child recognizing a familiar embrace. Then there is the opposite, the guarded gaze. It is tight, controlled, calculated. People use it when they want to protect themselves emotionally. Their eyes stay sharp, their blinking becomes deliberate, their eyebrows pull inward. It is the gaze of someone who is afraid to be seen, not physically but emotionally. They are protecting the parts of themselves that feel fragile. When you learn to read eyes, you begin to hear the story behind the person. You understand their fear before they admit it. You sense their joy before they express it. You notice their frustration before they explode. You feel their hesitation before they confess it. The world becomes clearer. Your relationships become deeper, and conversations stop being confusing. Because people can hide their words, but they cannot hide their eyes. Let me give you one more story. A negotiation room, a table between two business partners, papers on the desk. A contract that could change both of their lives. The first partner speaks confidently, listing all the benefits, all the opportunities, all the reasons to move forward. His voice is strong, his arguments are solid, his posture is powerful, but his eyes, every few seconds, drift toward the exit door, not long enough to seem suspicious, but just enough to reveal aversion, a kind of emotional recoil. His fear of risk was stronger than his words. The second partner noticed it, and he realized that no matter how impressive the speech sounded, the conviction wasn't real. The hesitation in the eyes exposed everything. He knew the deal was not as stable as it appeared. He took a step back. Weeks later, the first partner confessed he had doubts from the beginning. Once again, the eyes spoke before the mouth ever did. To master the art of reading people, you must learn to read the eyes without judging them. You must read with compassion, curiosity, and emotional intelligence. When you do, you unlock a deeper level of human understanding. You begin to see people not as puzzles to solve, but as stories unfolding. Every glance becomes a chapter. Every pause becomes a paragraph. Every flicker becomes a sentence written in emotional ink. The eyes tell the truth. It is your job to listen. Chapter 4. The tone that reveals the heart. Before a person ever finishes their first sentence, their tone has already told you who they are in that moment. Tone is the emotional fingerprint of the voice. It carries truth the way water carries reflections. Even when someone tries to hide their feelings, their tone betrays them. You can train your face. You can train your posture. But tone is the one part of communication people almost never fully control. Most people listen for words and ignore the music underneath. But the real meaning of any message lives in the music. A quick breath before speaking, a sudden drop in pitch, a tremble disguised as a laugh, a hesitation that lasts half a second too long. These tiny sonic signals reveal the emotional truth behind the words. Think of a moment when someone said, "I am okay," but you felt something wasn't right. It wasn't the sentence that alerted you, it was the tone, the fragileness beneath the strength, the tightness beneath the calm, the softness that sounded like someone holding themselves together with thin emotional thread. Tone is the vibration of the heart, disguised as sound. Let me take you into a scene. Imagine a couple standing by a window on a rainy evening. The air is thick with unspoken tension. She asks him if he still cares. He answers, "Of course I do," but the tone is wrong. Not sharp, not angry, not cold, just flat, hollow, disconnected. It was a statement without soul, a sentence without warmth. It was the sound of someone trying to give the right answer instead of the honest one. She feels it instantly. The room shifts. The silence becomes heavier. The words became meaningless the moment his tone betrayed them. And in that moment, she understood a truth she had been avoiding. Tone is the quiet confession behind every sentence. There are many kinds of tones: the defensive tone, the exhausted tone, the loving tone, the impatient tone, the submissive tone, the dominant tone, the uncertain tone, the frightened tone. Each one communicates more than the words themselves ever could, but one of the most powerful is the involuntary crack. The moment a voice breaks for a fraction of a second, people rarely notice it in themselves, but it is impossible to miss in others when you are truly listening. It is the sound of emotion slipping through the cracks. It happens when someone is speaking while trying to hold back something overwhelming: grief, guilt, relief, love, fear. The voice breaks because the heart breaks. Even if it lasts only the length of a heartbeat, it carries the full weight of truth. Another powerful cue is the whisper tone. People whisper when they feel unsafe being fully heard, when something feels too heavy or too intimate to express loudly. When someone speaks softly about a painful subject, they are not trying to hide, they are trying not to crumble. Whispered tones are emotional wounds speaking through lowered volume. On the other hand, a sharp or elevated tone often reveals irritation, insecurity, or fear disguised as aggression. When someone snaps quickly, their tone exposes their internal struggle. Anger is almost always a secondary emotion. Beneath it lies something more delicate, something they are trying to protect. Tone also reveals confidence. A confident tone is steady, warm, grounded. It does not rush. It does not rise at the end of sentences seeking approval. It does not shake under pressure. People with confidence speak with emotional certainty, even when they are not certain about the topic itself. Let me give you a story that illustrates this clearly. A young man once went for a job interview. On paper, he was qualified. His answers were good. His posture was professional, but his tone betrayed him. Each time he answered a question, his voice lifted at the end as if asking for permission to be believed, as if he wasn't speaking from conviction but from hope. The interviewer didn't reject him because of his resume. He rejected him because his tone revealed insecurity. His words said, "I can do this job," but his tone said, "Please believe I can." Weeks later, the young man took coaching, practiced, grew more confident, and returned for another opportunity. This time his tone was grounded, steady, calm. He said the same words, but they carried a different weight. The interviewer felt the difference instantly. He hired him. The transformation was not in his knowledge, it was in his tone. Now imagine another scene. A friend calls you late at night. You answer and hear them say, "Hey, can we talk?" The words are simple, but the tone triggers something inside you. Your stomach tightens. You hear fear in the softness, panic in the pauses, uncertainty in the trembling edges. You sit up, you listen more closely. You know something serious is happening long before they explain it. That is the power of tone. It allows you to feel what someone is feeling before they say what they are feeling. Tone can also be used as a shield. Some people speak with practiced calmness to avoid revealing their emotions. Others adopt a joking tone to hide discomfort. Some use sarcasm as emotional armor. Some use cheerfulness to mask sadness. They don't know how to share. When you listen carefully, you begin to recognize the tone people use to hide what they truly feel. And once you recognize it, you begin to see them clearly. Not the mask they wear, but the person beneath it. One of the most revealing tones is the delayed answer tone. When someone pauses before responding, and their tone changes from natural to controlled, it is a sign they edited themselves. People do this when they want to hide something, protect someone, or avoid conflict. The shift in tone is subtle but unmistakable. It is the sound of emotional censorship. The more you train your ear to notice tone, the more the world begins to sound different. Conversations become richer. Interactions become clearer. You stop getting confused by mixed signals. You stop falling for words that carry the wrong music. When you learn to hear tone, you learn to hear the truth. Because the heart always speaks before the mouth does. And tone is the echo of the heart. Chapter 5. Micro-expressions. The emotions that escape in a flash. There are moments in human interaction so quick, so fragile, so fleeting that most people never notice them. But these moments hold some of the most honest emotions a person will ever show. They are called micro-expressions. They last less than half a second. They appear before a person can control their face. They vanish almost instantly. And they reveal everything someone is trying not to say. Micro-expressions are the emotional leaks of the subconscious mind. When a person feels something intensely, fear, anger, joy, sadness, contempt, surprise, disgust, the brain fires the emotional signal before the logical mind can stop it. The facial muscles react automatically. For the briefest moment, the true emotion escapes like a spark from a fire, and then it's gone, replaced by whatever expression the person wants you to see. Learning to spot these flashes of truth is like learning to see lightning in slow motion. Once you train your eyes for it, you will begin to notice things you never saw before. You will hear the hidden truth behind polite smiles. You will see the tension behind rehearsed calmness. You will feel the conflict inside someone, even when they claim nothing is wrong. Micro-expressions reveal the emotional honesty most people bury. Let me take you into a scene. Imagine a man proposing to a woman in a quiet restaurant. He kneels down, opens the ring box, and smiles nervously. The people around gasp softly. She places her hand over her mouth, tears forming in her eyes. Everyone sees the joy, but only a trained eye sees the truth. Before she forces a smile, before she cries, before she says, yes, there is a flicker, a micro-expression, a tiny flash of fear, barely visible. Her eyebrows pull upward in the middle. Her eyes widen. Her mouth tightens at the corners. It lasts less than the blink of an eye. Most people would miss it, but it was real, and it was honest. Her brain reacted before she did. She felt fear, not because she didn't love him, but because her life was about to change forever, because commitment comes with unknowns. Because even the happiest moment can trigger an instinct of emotional vulnerability. That one flash of fear told more truth than the next 10 minutes of smiling ever would. Micro-expressions often reveal conflict. Imagine someone hearing news they were not expecting. Their face shifts for a moment. Surprise flashes in widened eyes. Then the mask returns. They pretend everything is normal, but the truth was already written on their face. Most people do not lie with their expressions. They simply edit their expressions after the fact. The most telling micro-expression is contempt. Contempt appears as a tiny one-sided smirk. It is the only expression that activates asymmetrically, one side of the mouth rising slightly higher than the other. It is subtle, but powerful. Contempt signals superiority, disrespect, hidden resentment. Even when a person tries to stay polite, contempt leaks out like emotional poison. If you see contempt repeatedly in a relationship, a friendship, or a partnership, It is a sign of deep cracks beneath the surface. Then there is the micro-expression of suppressed anger. The jaw tightens, the nostrils flare, the eyes harden, the muscles around the lips get rigid. It may last only half a second, but it is unmistakable. People try to hide anger socially, especially in environments where they want to appear professional, calm, or agreeable. But the moment they hear something that triggers them, anger flares across their face like heat across a pan. You don't need words to know what they felt. Their expression already told you. Another common micro-expression is sadness. It is not dramatic. It is not theatrical. True sadness is quiet. The inner corners of the eyebrows pull upward, the eyes soften, the lips flatten slightly. It is the kind of expression people try hardest to hide because sadness feels vulnerable. But the micro-expression reveals the wound even when the person tries to mask it with laughter or composure. Some of the most unforgettable micro-expressions happen in conversations where someone is pretending to be fine. Imagine asking a friend, "Are you sure you are okay?" They smile and say yes, but in the instant before they smile, their face dips into sorrow, a flash of pain, a flicker of truth. It is gone quickly, replaced by reassurance, but you saw it. And that one glimpse lets you understand their heart in a way their words cannot. This ability to read micro-expressions is not about catching people in lies. It is about understanding the emotions they do not know how to express. It is about hearing the silent cries beneath the practiced calmness. It is about seeing the cracks in someone's armor and understanding that every human being carries quiet battles. When you read micro-expressions, you cultivate empathy, not judgment. There is one more story you need to hear. A young man was in a meeting, pitching a project he had spent months creating. The investors listened politely, their faces neutral, their questions sharp. He couldn't read them. He felt unsure. But at one moment, when he shared the most innovative part of his idea, one investor had a brief micro-expression, a spark of excitement. The eyebrows rose, the eyes widened, the mouth pulled slightly upward. It was gone in an instant, replaced by a stern, controlled expression, but the young man saw it. That one flash told him everything he needed to know. Someone in the room believed in him. Days later, that same investor called him privately and offered support. The micro-expression was the first real signal. The truth showed itself before the words ever did. Micro-expressions are the emotional fingerprints the mind leaves behind. They are the truth escaping for a moment, before the mask settles back into place. When you learn to see them, you stop being confused by mixed signals. You stop believing only what people say. You begin understanding what they feel, because emotions do not stay silent. They only whisper quickly. Chapter 6. Energy. The invisible language you feel before you think. Long before you hear a person speak, long before you analyze their expression or observe their body language, you feel their energy. It is subtle, it is instinctive, it is ancient. You walk into a room, see someone for the first time, and your body reacts before your mind forms a single thought. Your stomach tightens or relaxes, your chest opens or contracts, your breathing deepens or becomes shallow. You don't know why you feel what you feel, but you do. That is energy, the silent emotional frequency people broadcast without even knowing. Human beings are emotional antennas. We pick up signals from one another constantly. Some people carry calmness, some carry chaos, some carry confidence, some carry fear, some carry warmth, some carry coldness sharp enough to cut through the air. Energy is the emotional climate around a person. You don't see it, you don't hear it, you feel it. Imagine standing next to someone who is deeply anxious. Their shoulders are tense, their breath shallow, their movements rapid. Even if they speak politely, even if they smile, their energy unsettles you. It is like sitting near a vibrating wire. Something inside you stays alert, cautious, hyper, aware. That is your nervous system. Reading their nervous system, anxiety travels. It spills into the room like smoke, and you inhale it, even without meaning to. Now imagine being near someone grounded and calm. Their presence feels like a warm room on a cold night, not because of anything they say, but because their energy is steady, safe, unrushed. Their breathing is smooth, their posture relaxed, their emotions stable. People like this make conversations easier, decisions clearer, even silence feels comfortable with them. Their energy regulates the environment. The most powerful part of reading energy is that it often exposes the truth before any physical sign appears. You feel someone pulling away emotionally, even when their words remain sweet. You sense someone's envy even when they congratulate you. You sense someone's hidden pain even when they insist they are fine. Let me take you into a scene. A man sits at dinner with an old friend. They laugh, they talk, they reminisce. But something feels wrong. The energy is different, darker, quieter. The friend avoids eye contact a little too often. His laugh feels forced, his smile stretched too thin. No one would notice anything on the surface, but the energy tells the real story. Something is weighing on him, something he is not ready to say. Later that night, the man receives a message. The friend finally admits he's going through a painful situation. The energy spoke hours before the words did. Most people call this intuition, but intuition is simply emotional intelligence working faster than your conscious reasoning. Another powerful example is when someone secretly dislikes you. They may greet you warmly, they may compliment you, they may laugh in your presence, but their energy stays cool, detached, unavailable. It's in the stiffness of their body, the resistance in their eyes, the dryness in their tone. They are performing politeness, but energy cannot perform. It exposes everything they try to hide. When someone doesn't like you, your body feels it before your mind understands it. Energy also reveals attraction. True attraction is not loud. It is magnetic. It pulls. It draws people toward each other subtly. The body leans in without permission. The eyes soften. The voice becomes warmer. The atmosphere shifts. People feel chemistry before they notice chemistry. Energy makes the space between two people feel charged, as if electricity is humming through the air. Words may come later, but energy arrives first. Let me give you another story. A woman once described meeting someone who changed her life. She said that the first time he walked into the room, she felt her entire body respond. Not because he was handsome, not because he spoke to her, but because his presence felt familiar, safe, calm. She felt seen even before he looked in her direction. Their connection began long before their conversation did. It began the moment their energies recognized one another. Energy is also one of the strongest indicators of deception. When someone is lying, the energy tightens. Their body becomes slightly rigid. Their breathing shifts. Their tone becomes controlled. They may smile, but the smile doesn't affect the space around them. It doesn't warm anything. It doesn't soften anything. The energy stays flat, hollow, uneasy. You feel something is off, even if you cannot explain why. That sensation is your mind detecting emotional mismatch. There is a psychology term for this: affect incongruence. It describes the moment when someone's words, tone, expression, and energy do not align. This mismatch creates tension in the atmosphere. Your body feels that tension even when your mind cannot pinpoint the cause. This is why the best lie detectors in the world are not machines. They are emotionally intelligent people who listen with their entire nervous system. One of the most fascinating things about energy is this: you also project it. Your emotions fill the air around you, your fears, your confidence, your insecurities, your peace. People are constantly reading you, even when they don't realize it. If you walk into a room stressed, others sense it. If you walk in with quiet confidence, the atmosphere shifts. If you walk in with unresolved anger, people step back. If you walk in with genuine warmth, the room opens up. Understanding energy is not about judging people. It is about feeling them, feeling their intentions, feeling their wounds, feeling their sincerity, feeling their truth. When you read energy well, you begin to navigate relationships with clarity instead of confusion. You stop forcing connections that feel wrong. You stop ignoring your instincts. You stop second-guessing yourself. Because energy never lies. People do, words do, expressions do, but energy tells the truth, and your body always hears it. Chapter 7. The Social Mask. Who they are when no one is watching. Every person you meet is wearing a mask, not a physical one but a psychological one. A mask shaped by expectation, by culture, by fear, by desire, by the need to belong. Every human being presents a version of themselves to the world, a version edited, polished, softened, hardened, or rearranged to fit the social environment they are in. We show confidence when we are trembling inside. We show indifference when our hearts are breaking. We show politeness to people we quietly resent. We show strength when we feel fragile. These masks are not lies. They are protections, shields people build to survive. But when you learn to read people, you learn to see the shape of the person beneath the shield, the real version of them, the unfiltered version, the human behind the performance. The most dangerous assumption you can make about people is believing the mask is the person. It is never true. The mask is who they want you to see. The person beneath it is who they are when they feel safe enough to take it off. Reading people means recognizing the difference between the performance and the reality. Let me take you into a scene. Picture a man standing in front of a group at a party. He is charismatic, loud, animated. Everyone laughs at his jokes. Everyone gravitates toward him. He looks like the most confident person in the room. But watch closely. There is a subtle desperation in the way he lights up every conversation, a slight panic in how quickly he jumps into every silence, a restless energy in the way he performs. His mask is confidence. His truth is insecurity. This is a person who learned early in life that attention is safety. That being, the fun one keeps people close enough to avoid loneliness. His smile is bright, but his eyes flicker with exhaustion. The mask is loud, but the truth is quiet. Some people wear the opposite mask. They appear cold, distant, unfriendly, not because they dislike people, but because closeness scares them. Emotional vulnerability feels dangerous. Intimacy feels like a trap. They keep their words short, their expressions limited, their energy guarded, not out of arrogance but out of fear. They learn that the safest person to trust is themselves. So their mask is distance, their truth is longing. The social mask is also shaped by the people someone interacts with. Watch a person in different environments. You will realize they are many different selves. They speak differently around their parents than they do with friends. They behave differently at work than they do at home. They laugh differently with their closest confidant than with acquaintances. Each version of them is real, but each version is incomplete. The truest version is the one they show when the stakes are lowest, when they have nothing to defend and nothing to prove. One of the clearest ways to read someone's mask is to watch what breaks through when they are caught off guard, when someone is startled, when someone receives unexpected news, when someone thinks no one is watching, when their guard slips for a moment. These moments expose the emotional colors beneath the social paint. Imagine someone who tries very hard to appear indifferent in a relationship. They speak casually, they act unbothered, they pretend not to care. But when the person they like walks into the room, their eyes shift, their posture changes, their breathing deepens, the mask cracks, their truth escapes in a small spark. So small they hope no one saw it. Someone confident in reading people always sees it. People also reveal their true selves in frustration. When someone is tired or stressed, the mask becomes too heavy, it slips. The polite version fades. The real temperament comes out. Some become angry. Some become emotional. Some become withdrawn. Some become controlling. Stress does not create character. It reveals it. There is another powerful moment when the mask falls. When someone feels deeply understood. When you listen without judgment. When you offer safety instead of evaluation. When you make someone feel seen. People remove their masks slowly, like someone removing armor after years of battle. The more you read people well, the more often this happens, because people feel naked when they are understood, but they also feel relieved. Reading the social mask does not mean exposing people. It means seeing them compassionately. It means recognizing that every mask has a story. The loud person was once ignored. The quiet person was once overwhelmed. The angry person was once hurt. The distant person was once abandoned. Masks are coping mechanisms built from emotional history. When you understand the mask, you understand the pain it protects. Let me give you a scene that captures this perfectly. A woman sits alone in a cafe, wearing sharp makeup, expensive clothing, and a posture of flawless confidence. People glance at her with admiration or envy. She looks untouchable, but her mask has seams. When she checks her phone, her shoulders drop for a moment. When she reads a message, her eyes dim. When she thinks no one is watching, she breathes out a heavy sigh. The mask is elegance. The truth is heartbreak. Reading the social mask is one of the most powerful skills you can have. It allows you to see who people are beneath the performance. It prevents disappointment, because you stop expecting a mask to act like a heart. It helps you protect yourself because you recognize when someone's charm hides manipulation. It helps you create deeper relationships because you respond to who people are, not who they pretend to be. Every mask has cracks, and the cracks always reveal the truth. Your job is to notice them gently, not to judge, not to punish, but to understand. Because the mask is temporary, the person beneath it is real. And reading people means learning to see the human beneath the performance. Chapter 8. Intentions versus Words. The war between what people say and what they mean. If you want to truly understand people, you must learn one of the most important truths in human psychology. People do not communicate with words. They communicate with intentions. Words are only the surface of communication. Intentions are the undercurrent. Words are the costume. Intentions are the character underneath. Words are the performance. Intentions are the truth backstage. When words and intentions match, communication is clear, peaceful, and trustworthy. But when they clash, people feel confused, disappointed, or betrayed, often without fully understanding why. The conflict you feel is not coming from the words. It is coming from the gap between the words and the motive behind them. Let me take you into a scene. A woman asks her partner if he still wants to work on their relationship. He says, "Yes, of course." But his intention is nowhere near his sentence. He avoids her eyes. His tone is flat. His shoulders stiffen. His responses grow shorter. Something in the air tightens. He is saying the right thing, but meaning none of it. This disconnect sends ripples through the room. Even if she cannot articulate why, she feels the truth his words are hiding. His intention is withdrawal. His words are comfort. In another scenario, a friend enthusiastically agrees to help you, saying, "Don't worry, I got you." But their intention reveals itself over the next few days. They forget. They delay. They avoid follow-up conversations. Their energy cools. They said yes out of obligation, not sincerity. The intention was avoidance disguised as support. Human relationships fracture, not because of wrong words, but because of misaligned intentions. People say, "I love you," while their actions carry indifference. They say, "I am listening," while their minds wander. They say, "I don't mind," while resentment brews quietly beneath the surface. The real message is never in the sentence. It is in the motive. Intentions leak through behavior, through pauses, through inconsistencies, through the emotional temperature of interactions. When someone genuinely wants to do something, their effort flows naturally. Their tone warms, their eyes engage, their time aligns with their words. Their energy leans forward instead of pulling away. Intention strengthens the bridge between what they say and what they do. But when someone's intention contradicts their words, you will always feel emotional friction. You'll sense it in the way they hesitate, in their lack of follow-through, in the quiet disconnect that lingers behind their promises, in the heaviness that settles after their reassurances. People rarely lie with full awareness. Most of the time, they lie because they don't know how to express their truth without disappointing someone. So they say what they think will keep the harmony. They say what will maintain their image. They say what will protect them from conflict. Their intention becomes self-preservation, not deception. But the effect feels the same because the emotional truth does not align with the verbal truth. To read people well, you must pay more attention to consistency than to language. Words are immediate. Intentions unfold over time. A person who truly intends to support you will show up, not just speak up. A person who intends to leave will distance themselves emotionally long before they physically walk away. A person who intends to deceive will hide parts of themselves behind overly polished words. A person who intends to hurt you will speak with sharpness, hidden inside softness. A person who intends to love you will show tenderness even when they are tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed. Let me give you another cinematic moment. A young man sits across from a business investor. He pitches his idea passionately. The investor nods, smiles, writes notes and says, "This sounds promising." But the intention drips through his behavior. He doesn't ask deeper questions. He avoids discussing specifics. His body leans slightly away. His pen writes, but his eyes stay unfocused. His words say yes. His intention says no. A few days later, the young man receives the decline email he already felt coming. The intention arrived before the sentence did. Intentions also reveal themselves in how people prioritize you. Someone can tell you you are important, but never make time. They can tell you they care, but never show up when it matters. They can tell you they value the relationship, but treat you like an option. The truth is simple. People prioritize what they intend to keep. Another powerful sign is emotional congruence. When someone's words, body, tone, energy, and actions all align in the same direction, their intention is pure. There is no dissonance, no confusion, no mixed signals. But when even one element contradicts the others, pay attention. People hide behind words because words are easy. They are the cheapest currency in communication. Intentions are expensive. They demand consistency, effort, vulnerability, and accountability. One of the greatest mistakes you can make is believing someone's words simply because they sound good. The people who understand human nature listen deeper. They listen for motive. They listen for sincerity. They listen for pattern. They listen for what a person chooses not to say, because the truth is always there, not in the script, not in the performance, but in the intention humming beneath the dialogue. People will continue saying words that comfort, words that protect their image, words that soften the moment, but their intentions will always reveal themselves in the quiet places, in the pauses, in the delivery, in the follow-through, in the things they repeat, in the things they avoid, in the way they treat you when no one is watching. To read people is to learn this simple principle. When words and intentions disagree, always follow the intention. It will lead you to the truth every time. Chapter 9. Reading hidden motives. The real reasons behind people's actions. Most people never tell you their true motives, not because they want to deceive you, but because most people don't even understand their own motives fully. Human beings are driven by layers. The reason they say aloud is rarely the true reason. The true motive sits beneath their behavior like an underground current, shaping their choices, bending their reactions, and directing their words even when they don't realize it. To read people with mastery, you must learn to identify the real motive, not the stated one. Motives hide in tone, in patterns, in reactions, in what people repeatedly do, not what they occasionally say. Let me take you into a scene. Imagine two friends. One asks the other for advice, nods, smiles, and says, "Thank you, this really helped." But the next day, they make choices opposite to everything they agreed with. The motive was never guidance. The motive was validation. They didn't want direction. They wanted emotional comfort disguised as advice. They wanted someone to listen, not someone to lead. Understanding motive means seeing the engine behind the behavior, not the vehicle someone points at, but the machine that drives it. There are motives rooted in fear, motives rooted in longing, motives rooted in ego, motives rooted in old wounds, motives rooted in the need to be seen, motives rooted in the terror of being seen too clearly. Most people operate from motives they inherited from their past. A child who grew up overlooked learns to chase admiration. A child who grew up controlled learns to resist influence. A child who grew up criticized learns to hide their flaws behind perfection. A child who grew up abandoned learns to cling too tightly or detach too quickly. The adult motive is simply the childhood wound wearing adult clothing. Let me give you a more cinematic moment. Imagine a woman entering a room full of strangers. She becomes loud, lively, exaggerated. People assume she is confident, but her motive is survival. She learned early in life that being invisible meant being unsafe. So she shines brightly not because she feels radiant, but because she is terrified of fading into the background. Another example. A man becomes overly generous to everyone he meets. People call him kind. They call him helpful. They call him selfless. But his motive is emotional bargaining. He gives so no one has a reason to abandon him. His generosity is genuine but rooted in fear. He trades kindness for safety, kindness for protection, kindness for belonging. To read hidden motives, you must look beyond what someone does and see what someone needs. People act from need far more than from desire. Desire is conscious. Need is unconscious. When someone seeks approval constantly, their motive is reassurance. When someone dominates conversations, their motive is control. When someone withdraws during conflict, their motive is protection. When someone over-explains themselves, their motive is acceptance. When someone avoids vulnerability, their motive is emotional safety. Every behavior is a clue. Every reaction is a fingerprint. Every silence is a confession waiting to be heard. Now consider someone who suddenly becomes distant with you. Their words may say, "I am just busy," but their motive might be deeper. Sometimes distance is fear. Fear of getting too close. Fear of losing control. Fear of being seen. Sometimes distance is guilt. Something they did or thought that created internal conflict. Sometimes distance is resentment. Something unspoken that created emotional echo between you. Sometimes distance is evaluation. They are measuring whether the relationship is still safe. The behavior is distance. The motive is hidden. Your job is to listen beneath the behavior. Let me give you another scene. A young man confesses to his mentor that he wants to start a business. He talks with enthusiasm. He speaks about financial freedom and passion and purpose. But the mentor sees something else. A flicker of pain when family is mentioned. A sudden tightness when describing his current job. A tone of desperation hidden beneath the excitement. The real motive is not entrepreneurship. The real motive is escape. Escape from a life that feels too small. Escape from expectations that suffocate him. Escape from the feeling of being controlled by circumstances. When the mentor addresses the emotional motive, rather than the surface goal, the young man breaks into tears. That is the power of reading motives. You can speak to someone's truth instead of their mask. People often hide motives because they are afraid of how others will react. They fear judgment. They fear rejection. They fear losing connection. So they offer palatable motives, socially acceptable motives. Motives that sound good, not motives that feel real. Someone who wants validation will call it ambition. Someone who wants power will call it leadership. Someone who wants control will call it protection. Someone who wants affection will call it loyalty. Someone who wants reassurance will call it respect. Someone who wants attention will call it admiration. The words may change, but the motive remains. Reading hidden motives is not about exposing people. It is about understanding the emotional engine behind their behavior. It allows you to respond with wisdom instead of frustration, with clarity instead of confusion, with emotional intelligence instead of emotional reaction. Because when you understand someone's motive, they stop being mysterious. They stop being unpredictable. They stop being overwhelming. The fog lifts. The picture becomes clear. Every action becomes understandable. Every reaction becomes predictable. Every behavior becomes part of a pattern you have already seen. Reading people at this level gives you something priceless. Clarity. Clarity about who someone is. Clarity about what they need. Clarity about where the relationship is heading. Clarity about how deeply you should invest. Clarity about who deserves your presence. Because motives tell you the truth long before the behavior becomes obvious. And once you learn to read motives, you will never again be confused by what people do. You will understand why they do it, and that changes everything. Chapter 10: Detecting Lies. The moments when the truth breaks through. Human beings lie, not always with malicious intent, not always to deceive, not always to manipulate. Sometimes people lie to protect themselves. Sometimes they lie to protect others. Sometimes they lie to avoid conflict, to maintain peace, or to preserve their image in a moment of vulnerability. A lie is rarely born from evil. More often, it is born from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of disappointment, fear of consequences, fear of being truly seen. But even when the words are false, the body refuses to participate. The mind can craft a sentence, but the nervous system cannot support a lie for long. Truth leaks, always, sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, but it leaks. To detect lies, you must understand one principle. Liars focus on their words. Honest people focus on the meaning. A person telling the truth speaks from memory. A person lying speaks from imagination. Memory flows. Imagination hesitates. Memory is stable. Imagination wobbles under pressure. Let me take you into a scene. A teenager comes home late. His mother asks where he has been. He answers too quickly, too neatly, too perfectly. Every detail is rehearsed. Every sentence is smooth, but his breathing is shallow, his shoulders stiff. His eyes avoid hers at the exact moments when she touches the heart of the question. His story is polished, but his body is trembling beneath the surface. His lie is wrapped in confidence, but his biology betrays him. A lie rarely reveals itself through obvious signs. It reveals itself through contradictions. Contradictions between tone and content, between words and energy, between posture and emotion, between what someone says and what their eyes reflect. When someone lies, their behavior becomes fragmented. Their words travel in one direction. Their truth pulls in another. Their energy becomes sharp. Their muscles tighten. Their voice becomes controlled, either too calm or too tense. One of the clearest signs of deception is overcompensation. A liar gives too much information, adds unnecessary details, repeats themselves, speaks with exaggerated certainty. Because they are trying to make the lie believable rather than focusing on expressing the truth. Honest people rarely speak perfectly. They hesitate. They pause to remember. They correct themselves. They recall details in waves, not rehearsed scripts. Truth sounds like human memory, messy, alive, imperfect. Let me give you another cinematic moment. A woman is questioned about whether she still has feelings for her ex. She laughs loudly, waves her hand dismissively, and says, "Of course not, absolutely not." But the laugh is forced, the tone too sharp, the dismissal too quick. Before her answer, her eyes flicked downward for a fraction of a second, a micro-expression of sadness. That moment told the truth her words tried to bury. Liars often hide their hands. Hands are honest. Hands reveal shaking. Hands reveal tension. Hands fidget when the mind is under pressure. So liars place them under tables, cross their arms, clutch objects, or bury their hands in pockets. Another indicator is the timing of emotion. In genuine emotion, the facial reaction and the emotional tone appear together. Naturally, in a lie, the emotion appears late, like an actor realizing they must add expression to match the script. A person might lie and then smile after the statement is complete. The smile is delayed. That delay is betrayal, not of you, but of the lie. The eyes also reveal deception, not because of the old myth that liars look away, but because of emotional incongruence. A liar's eyes may look directly at you too intensely, trying to prove sincerity, or they may blink too slowly or too rapidly. The eye behavior becomes unnatural because the mind is under emotional strain. A powerful sign is the freeze response. When someone tells a lie, there is often a moment, sometimes less than a second, where their entire body freezes. It is the brain bracing itself, preparing to fabricate, preparing to defend the lie. That freeze is the psychological pause between truth and performance. Let me take you into another scene. A manager asks an employee whether they made a costly mistake. The employee responds calmly, almost too calmly. Their face remains neutral, but their foot taps rapidly beneath the table. Their shoulders stay rigid. Their answers are too smooth, too quick, too defensive. The lie is not in the words. The lie is in the overflowing nervous energy. To detect lies, do not look for liars. Look for conflict, internal conflict, behavioral conflict, emotional conflict. Truth flows effortlessly. Lies create friction inside the body. But reading lies also requires compassion, because not every lie is malicious. Some lies are protective. Some are rooted in fear. Some are attempts to avoid pain for themselves or others. The goal is not to become a human lie detector to judge people. It is to understand the deeper forces driving them, to know when to trust, when to question, when to step back, and when to see the pain beneath the deception. People lie because they are afraid of losing something, losing approval, losing love, losing face, losing freedom, losing control. When you read lies at this level, you begin to see the truth behind the lie. The lie is not the enemy. The fear behind the lie is. Once you understand someone's fear, you understand their choices. Once you understand their choices, you understand their heart. And once you understand their heart, reading people becomes not an act of judgment, but an act of wisdom, a deeper awareness, a more profound form of connection, because every lie carries a truth, and the truth always leaks in the eyes, in the tone, in the pauses, in the cracks between sentences, and in the heartbeats between words. Chapter 11. Emotional patterns. The behaviors that repeat even when people try to change. If you truly want to understand someone, don't listen to their promises, watch their patterns. Promises are filled with hope. Patterns are filled with truth. People may change their words. They may change their tone. They may change their environment, but they rarely change their emotional patterns, unless they have done deep inner work. Patterns are the footprints of the unconscious mind. They reveal the emotional wounds someone carries. They reveal the lessons someone learned long before adulthood. They reveal the invisible forces shaping someone's decisions. A person can say, "I am fine," 1,000 times, but their patterns will show you everything they are trying to hide. Patterns speak louder than words. They speak louder than body language. They speak louder than emotion, because patterns repeat, and repetition is honesty. Let me take you into a scene. A woman keeps telling herself she deserves love. She believes she wants stability. She believes she wants kindness. But when someone treats her well, she pulls away. Yet when someone treats her inconsistently, she feels drawn in. Her mind says she wants peace. Her emotional pattern shows she is addicted to chaos disguised as romance, not because she is weak, but because chaos is familiar. It feels like home to someone raised in emotional unpredictability. Patterns reveal the emotional home a person returns to, even when that home has hurt them. Someone who grew up around criticism will gravitate toward people who make them feel not enough. Someone who grew up dismissed will gravitate toward relationships where they must earn attention. Someone who grew up walking on eggshells will become hypersensitive to tone shifts. The emotional environment someone had in childhood becomes the emotional blueprint they recreate in adulthood. Another powerful pattern is conflict style. Some people shut down the moment tension arises. Some people lash out. Some people become sarcastic. Some people turn into over-explainers, desperately trying to fix the situation. Some people run away emotionally while staying physically present. These patterns reveal how they survived emotionally as children. Survival becomes habit. Habit becomes pattern. Pattern becomes personality. To read people at the deepest level, observe how they respond when they are stressed. Stress pulls the unconscious to the surface. Stress removes the mask. Stress exposes the coping mechanism that has lived beneath their calm exterior for years. Let me give you another scene. A man who seems calm and logical most of the time suddenly becomes controlling when plans change unexpectedly, not because he is controlling by nature, but because uncertainty triggers an old emotional memory, the memory of a childhood where unpredictability meant danger. So his pattern is rigid control. Control is his way of keeping his world emotionally safe. Some people have patterns of people-pleasing. They say yes when they want to say no. They sacrifice their needs to avoid making others uncomfortable. They apologize excessively for things that are not their fault. Their pattern reveals fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of conflict. Fear of disappointing someone they care about. Their childhood likely taught them that love is conditional, that belonging requires self-erasure. Their pattern is a shield, protecting them from emotional punishment they once knew too well. Patterns also show up in goals and ambition. Some people start projects passionately, but abandon them halfway. Some people sabotage opportunities right when success is near. Some people choose safe paths, even when they dream of more. Some people chase achievements endlessly because they believe achievement equals worth. These patterns reveal the internal scripts they inherited, scripts of inadequacy, pressure, or fear of being seen. Here is another cinematic moment. A young woman says she wants a peaceful life. She says she wants healthy relationships. Yet every time someone genuinely stable enters her life, she becomes bored, restless, emotionally numb. Why? Because her pattern associates love with intensity, not peace. Her nervous system has been wired for emotional roller coasters. Calm feels unfamiliar. Unfamiliar feels unsafe. So she returns to relationships that hurt her. Patterns are emotional muscle memory. Reading emotional patterns does not mean judging someone. It means understanding the emotional architecture behind their life choices. It means recognizing the places they have been wounded. It means seeing the child still living inside the adult. Patterns also show up in how people treat themselves. Someone who constantly self-doubts learned early that their voice wasn't valued. Someone who pushes themselves relentlessly learned that rest was not allowed. Someone who numbs their feelings learned that vulnerability was punished. Someone who avoids deep commitment learned that love felt dangerous. Someone who cannot receive kindness learned that affection always came with a price. These are not personality flaws. They are emotional scars. Scars shaped by patterns repeated over years. When you master the art of reading emotional patterns, You will understand people in a way that feels almost like reading the chapters of their life. You will know what they fear, what they long for, what they avoid, what anchors them, what breaks them. You will stop being surprised by their choices because you will see the emotional machinery behind them. Patterns predict behavior. Patterns reveal wounds. Patterns expose desires. Patterns tell the stories someone cannot speak aloud. Listen to patterns. Trust them. They are the truest part of a person's psychology. Because words can deceive, emotions can fluctuate, but patterns remain. And they remain because the truth beneath them has never been healed. Understanding emotional patterns gives you power. Not power to control others, but power to navigate relationships with clarity instead of confusion. Power to protect your heart. Power to empathize without abandoning your boundaries. Power to see people as they truly are, not as they pretend to be. Because patterns are the echoes of the past trying to repeat themselves. And once you hear the echo, you can never unhear it. Chapter 12. Trusting your intuition. The quiet voice that knows before you do. There is a voice inside you that speaks long before your mind has time to analyze anything. It whispers in feelings, in sensations, in quiet discomfort, in sudden ease, in the tightness of your stomach, in the warmth in your chest, in the shift of your breathing when you meet someone for the first time. Most people ignore this voice, not because they cannot hear it, but because they have been trained to dismiss it. Logic has become the god of modern thinking, but intuition is the oldest intelligence of the human body. Intuition is observation you have not yet put into words. Intuition is experience speaking faster than thought. Intuition is truth felt in your nervous system long before your mind understands why. If there is one skill that separates someone who merely watches people from someone who truly reads people, it is intuition. Let me take you into a moment. A woman sits across from someone on a first date. On paper, everything seems perfect. He is polite, he is charming, he is articulate, but something feels off. Not wrong enough to explain, not loud enough to accuse, just off. She ignores it. She tells herself she's being dramatic. Months later, she discovers behaviors that break her trust, and in that moment, the memory returns. That tiny discomfort, that quiet warning, that flicker of intuition she silenced. Intuition is never random. It comes from patterns your senses notice before your logic connects the dots. Your body sees shifts you don't consciously register. Your ears pick up microtones your mind ignores. Your eyes catch micro-expressions too fast to articulate, and your nervous system assembles all these clues into a single message. Something here is wrong, or something here is right. Intuition is not magic. It is awareness without explanation, understanding without language, truth without evidence. Another scene. A man is offered a business deal that looks profitable. Every number checks out. Every detail aligns. The partners speak confidently. The plan looks solid. But when he sits with them, he feels a subtle tension. They are too polished, too smooth, too rehearsed. Something is missing. He cannot point to it. He cannot prove it. But something inside him feels unsettled. He walks away. Months later, the deal collapses and destroys those involved. His intuition saved him long before reason could have. Intuition speaks in sensations. Your stomach tightens. Your heartbeat changes. Your breathing shifts. Your muscles stiffen. Your mind becomes alert. Or, when something is right, your shoulders relax. Your chest opens. Your breathing deepens. Your energy settles. Your attention focuses. Intuition is your emotional radar. It detects intention faster than words. It detects tension faster than body language. It detects danger faster than logic. There is a reason animals survive by instinct. Humans have the same system, but we bury it under overthinking and self-doubt. Reading people requires you to unbury it, to listen to it, to trust it. Because intuition is the final layer of understanding, the layer beyond observation, beyond psychology, beyond analysis, the layer that connects your inner world to the world around you. When someone's words sound sweet, but your body feels cold, trust the body. When someone's smile looks warm, but your chest tightens, trust the chest. When someone's tone seems calm, but your nerves buzz with discomfort, trust the nerves. When someone's explanation feels perfect, but something inside you whispers, "This isn't right," trust the whisper. The whisper is never wrong. Your interpretation might be imperfect. Your explanation might be unclear, but the signal itself is true. Your intuition is a library of every moment you've lived. Every person you've met, every lie you've heard, every truth you've felt, every wound you've endured, and every pattern you've unconsciously recognized. It is the oldest intelligence inside you. Let me give you one more cinematic moment. A young man is walking home late at night. The street is quiet, the air still, everything looks normal. But suddenly, something inside him shifts. A strange alertness rises. His pace quickens. He looks over his shoulder. He sees nothing unusual, but his intuition insists. A moment later, someone steps out from behind a parked car. He crosses the street before the person can approach him. His intuition reacted before the danger became visible. This is the same system that helps you read people in daily life. The same system that senses dishonesty in a friend. The same system that feels attraction in someone's silence. The same system that recognizes manipulation before it becomes obvious. The same system that tells you a person is safe even when they speak shyly. Intuition is not loud. It does not shout. It does not force. It whispers. It nudges. It warns. It guides. But if you ignore it repeatedly, it grows silent, not because it disappears, but because you have trained yourself not to hear it. When you learn to trust your intuition again, the entire world becomes easier to navigate. You make fewer painful mistakes. You avoid people who drain your soul. You stop forcing connections that feel wrong. You stop ignoring the truth hidden beneath someone's words. You protect your peace instinctively. You attract people who feel aligned with your emotional frequency. You walk into situations with clarity instead of confusion, because intuition turns reading people from a skill into an instinct, from observation into a feeling, from analysis into certainty. It is the final layer, the deepest layer, the one that completes the art of understanding human nature. You already have this gift. You always did. This chapter is your invitation to listen to it, to trust it, to give value to the quiet voice inside you that always knew the truth before your mind caught up. Because intuition is not the opposite of logic. It is the logic of the soul, the wisdom of experience, and the truth your body has carried all along, seeing the world with new eyes. You have spent the last 90 minutes peeling back the layers of human nature. You have learned to hear silence, to read eyes, to feel energy, to notice tone, to catch micro-expressions, to sense intention, to understand motives, to recognize emotional patterns, to detect deception, and to trust intuition, your oldest, quietest wisdom. You have stepped behind the curtain of behavior and entered the inner world where truth lives. A world most people never learn to see. A world where words matter less and patterns matter more, where intentions speak louder than promises, where emotions reveal themselves in milliseconds, where the body confesses what the mouth hides, where the energy around a person tells you everything their pride refuses to say. This is the art of reading people, not to manipulate, not to control, not to judge, but to understand. Understanding frees you. It frees you from confusion. It frees you from self-blame. It frees you from falling into relationships that drain you. It frees you from trusting the wrong people and doubting the right ones. It frees you from overlooking patterns that have been speaking to you all along. When you understand people, you stop expecting consistency from someone who lives in emotional chaos. You stop demanding honesty from someone whose life has taught them to fear truth. You stop taking personally the wounds that were bleeding long before you arrived. You stop trying to fix what was never your responsibility to heal. You stop trying to read meaning in places where only trauma exists. Instead, you begin seeing clearly. You begin hearing what isn't spoken. You begin noticing what isn't obvious. You begin feeling what isn't expressed. You begin understanding behavior, not as an attack, but as communication. Every reaction becomes a story. Every pattern becomes a clue. Every moment becomes a lesson. And through it all, something even more powerful happens. You begin to understand yourself. You recognize your own patterns, your own motives, your own masks, your own wounds, your own intuition, your own emotional truth. Reading others teaches you to read your own heart. And that is the deepest transformation of all. The art of reading people is not a skill you master. It is a way of seeing, a way of listening, a way of understanding the world around you with a depth most people never reach. It turns life into a richer, quieter, more meaningful experience. It allows you to move through the world with grace, with confidence, with emotional intelligence, with wisdom, with clarity, You are no longer blind to intention, no longer confused by mixed signals, no longer lost in the noise of performative behavior. You see the truth behind the expression. You hear the emotion behind the tone. You feel the intention beneath the words. You understand the story behind the reaction. This is your new vision, your new awareness, your new instinct. Carry it with you into every room you enter, every relationship you build, every choice you make, every silence you hear, every person you meet, and every version of yourself you are still becoming. The world will not change because you learn to read people, but you will, and that changes everything. Because once you learn to see clearly, you cannot unsee. Once you learn to understand deeply, you cannot go back to the surface. Once you learn to hear the quiet truth, noise becomes meaningless. You now understand the human heart with new eyes, and the world will never look the same again.